Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Have you ever needed to build a feature where users can filter data in real time, like by department, employee name, or any custom field? In today's video, we're going to learn exactly how to do that using dynamic filters and pagination with EntityManager in Spring Boot. And don't worry, I'll explain everything step by step, so even if you're new to JPA or EntityManager, you'll be able to follow along easily. In this video, we're going to implement the fetchEmployee method using EntityManager. Earlier in this series, we explored the same functionality using JDBC template, named parameter JDBC template, and even the new JDBC client. Now it's time to see how we can achieve the same result using JPA's powerful and flexible EntityManager. As seen on my screen, this is the previous code we wrote using JDBC client inside the employee JDBC client repository class. In the fetchEmployee method, we dynamically build the query, adding filters only if employee name or department is provided. We also handle pagination here, so the results are filtered and returned page by page. Today, as you can see, we'll do the same thing using EntityManager. Alright, let me quickly copy the fetchEmployee method from employee JDBC client repository, just like this. We'll make only minimal changes to adapt it for EntityManager. Now, I'm pasting it inside employee EntityManager repository. We don't need to change much here because the basic logic stays the same. Later, we'll update the query part to use EntityManager methods instead of JDBC client. Okay, as you can see on my screen, earlier we used map-SQL parameter source to pass parameters. But now, since we are working with EntityManager, we'll switch to using a simple map of string and object instead. Alright, as you can see on my screen, I've highlighted this part where we're using employee_name in the condition. That's the actual database column name. But here's the important thing we learned. When writing JPQL queries, we don't use the column names directly. Instead, we use the field names from our entity class. Change this to emp.employeename, which is the exact field in our entity. Next, we add the named parameter value in the map. Now, for the department filter, we'll do the same thing. Add the condition using emp.department in the query. And then put the department value in our parameter map. Alright everyone, take a look at my screen. We've just pasted in the old JDBC client query, and I can still see select star and from employee in there. But since we're writing JPQL with EntityManager, we need to use our entity alias instead of the star, and refer to the entity name rather than the physical table. Change select star to select emp, that tells JPQL to pull in the whole employee object via our alias. Swap from employee from employee emp, which uses the Java entity name and the alias we defined. Okay, next up is our count query. We'll apply the same JPQL tweaks here. Next, we're appending the employee name and department filters we created earlier to both our query and count query. No changes are needed here. Alright, now let's run our count query and get the total number of employees that match our filters. Call create query on the EntityManager. Pass our JPQL count query as a string, and tell it the result type is long. This query returns a single value, so we call getSingleResult method to fetch that number. Alright, the query part is done. But wait. What about the named parameters like employee name and department that we added in the query? we haven't passed those values anywhere yet, right? Remember, all those parameter values are stored in our map. Now here's the catch. If we don't pass these values to the query, the Entity Manager won't be able to bind them properly. And that means when we try to run the query, it will throw an error, because it's expecting values for those parameters but doesn't find any. So, how do we fix this? Alright, so when we call createQuery, it gives us a typed query object. See on my screen, the typed query object provides this handy method called setParameter. It allows us to set the value for each named parameter in our query one by one. Since we have all our parameters stored in a map, with the parameter names as keys and their values as map values, we can just loop through this map, and for each entry, call setParameter with the key and value. Alright, now just follow along with me and make the same changes on your end. Alright, it's done. Now we just need to call the getSingleResult method on our typed query object. We'll get the total count right there. So first, we called the createQuery method, passed in our dynamic query and the return type long class. And we got a typed query object. Next, we ran a simple for loop on our map and used the setParameter method to assign values to all the named parameters. And finally, we just called getSingleResult, and that gave us the total count. Alright, so now we've got our total count. That part's done. Next, we need to actually run our query to fetch the data. As you can see on my screen, we're calculating the offset, which simply means how many records to skip. First, we call createQuery method and pass in our query and the return type, which is employee.class. This gives us a typed query of employee object. Then, just like before, we loop through our map and call setParameter method to pass values for all the named parameters in the query. See on my screen, in our previous SQL-based method using JDBC client, we had set offset and limit directly inside the query string. But now since we're using Entity Manager, the approach is a little different. We don't write offset or limit in the JPQL query itself. Instead, Entity Manager provides dedicated methods to handle this, and they're super handy. Alright, now look at my screen. You can see this line, setFirstResult. This method tells Entity Manager from which row it should start fetching records. In simple terms, we pass our offset here, basically, how many records to skip from the start. For example, if the offset is 10, that means the query will skip the first 10 records, and then fetch data starting from the 11th record. So let's go ahead and pass our offset here to tell Entity Manager where to begin fetching. Cool, Now let's talk about the next one, setMaxResults. As you can see on my screen, this method tells EntityManager how many records to fetch. Basically, the page size. So if our page size is, say, 10, it will fetch 10 records starting from whatever offset we set earlier. This is how we control how many items show up per page when the user scrolls or clicks next. So let's go ahead and pass our page size here. Now we've got both offset and limit in place, just like we had in our SQL query. Alright, now that we've set everything, our query, the named parameters, the offset, and the limit, let's go ahead and execute the query. So, just call getResultList on the typed query object. And this will actually run the query and give us a list of employee objects as the result. Alright, let's quickly walk through what we're doing here, step by step. First, we call the createQuery method. This is where we pass our JPQL query and the return type, which is employee.class. Next, we loop through our parameter map. And for each entry, we use the setParameter method to pass the actual values into the query. Next, we handle pagination. We use setFirstResult method to tell EntityManager where to start fetching records from. Next, we call setMaxResults method to tell it how many records to fetch. Finally, we call getResultList to actually run the query. And this gives us a list of employee objects as the result. Next, let's start the application. Alright, now I'm opening dbeaver to check our database records. As you can see on my screen, my table contains 54 records in total. Now, let's open Postman and hit our FetchEmployee API endpoint. See, we got 4 employees in the response, exactly matching our page size setting. And check this out, the total number of pages is 14. Remember, our table has 54 records, so with 4 records per page, this total page count fits perfectly. This means our pagination logic is working just right. Alright, now let's switch back to IntelliJ and check out the console logs. Here you can see EntityManager first runs the count query, that's to get the total number of records. Then, it runs the data fetch query with the limit and offset applied, just like we coded. This confirms everything is working smoothly behind the scenes. Okay, next let's hit the request for page 2. See, we got the data for page 2, employees with IDs 5, 6, 7, and 8. Perfect. This shows our pagination is correctly fetching the next set of records. Next, let's add a filter, pass the department as developer in our request. See, we got all employees from the developer department, and the total pages are 7 now. Let's quickly verify this in dbeaver. Here, you can see there are 25 records with the department as developer. And with our page size set to 4, that matches perfectly. Now, let's switch back to IntelliJ and check the console logs. EntityManager is running the query with the department filter applied, just like we expected. Next, let's hit the request with both filters, employee name as vclass meta and department as developer. See, we got one employee returned, exactly what we expected. If you check my table, there is only one record matching this employee name and department. Now, let's look at the console logs. This time, EntityManager ran the query with both filters applied perfectly. Alright, that's a wrap for today's video. We learned how to build dynamic filters and pagination using EntityManager in Spring Boot, super useful for real-world apps. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.